Okay, let's get right into it. If you've ever shelled out extra cash for ventilated seats, you're gonna want to hear this. We're talking about that fancy feature that's supposed to be your savior on a hot day, but a lot of the time it just makes noise. So what's the real story? Well, the secret isn't the fan. It's all about those thousands of tiny holes you're sitting on. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? It's the middle of July, your car's been cooking in a parking lot, and that leather seat is basically a frying pan. You hit the button, you hear that fan whir to life, and you're waiting for that sweet, cool relief. But nothing happens. 5 minutes later, your back's still sticky, your shirt is glued to your skin, and the only thing that's different is that annoying hum in your ear.
So what gives? Is the fan just completely pathetic, or is there something else going on? Well, the truth is, most of the time the fan's doing its job just fine. The problem is, you've been sold on a complete lie about how these things are even supposed to work in the first place.
Yep, you heard me. The feature isn't broken, necessarily. It's that the most critical part of the whole system is often designed to fail right from the factory. And trust me, it has absolutely nothing to do with how big or powerful that fan motor is.
The real star of the show, or maybe the villain, in your car's ventilation system are those perforations in the leather. Those tiny little holes are the final gateway for air to actually get to your body. And if they aren't designed and made the right way, the most powerful fan on the planet won't do a thing to save you from a sweaty back.
Think of it like this, right? Your seat's ventilation is kind of like a kitchen exhaust fan. The motor is the fan, sure, but the seat holes are the vent that leads outside. You could have a jet engine under your seat, but if that vent is clogged up with grease or just blocked off, all you're going to get is a ton of noise and a kitchen full of smoke. Your car seat is exactly the same deal.
So let's break down what actually makes this whole thing work, because it's a way more complicated than just poking a few holes in some leather. It's all about making a clear, totally unobstructed path for air to travel.
For you to feel anything, the air has to complete this entire obstacle course. It starts at the fan, goes through these little ducts into a special 3D layer that lets it spread out, then it has to push through the foam cushion itself, get past the glue holding it all together, and finally, out the holes. If any single part of that chain is weak, if the glue is blocking the holes or the foam is too dense, the whole system is a bust. The air just gets trapped and you stay hot.
And that brings us to the really critical point. Not all holes are created equal. How they're made makes a massive difference in how well they work and how much they cost to make. So automakers basically use three main methods. You've got mechanical punching, which is the cheapest and fastest. You'll see this a lot in mid-range cars, but it's not always super precise. Then there's laser punching, which is what you'll find in high-end luxury cars. It's incredibly precise, but it's also slow and really expensive. And then there's a newer method called pre-molded, where the holes are just part of the material from the get-go. The takeaway here is that the cost difference between the cheap way and the premium way can be like 10 times. Okay, so here's where the numbers really matter. This is the golden range for the diameter of each hole. If you go any smaller than 0.8 millimeters, they just get clogged up with dust and create way too much resistance. But if you go bigger than 1.5 millimeters, they start to weaken the leather and, let's be honest, they just look kind of cheap. Next, you've got density. The sweet spot here is between 5 and 15 holes per square centimeter. Now you might be thinking, well, more is better, right? But nope. If you pack in too many, say over 20, you start to seriously mess with the material's strength. That means it's way more likely to rip or sag down the road.
And finally, this is the magic number for the total open area on the seat's surface. You're aiming for about 15 to 25% of the surface to be open holes. Any less than that and the airflow is just sad. Any more, and again, you're just killing the durability for a feature that probably won't even last.
All right, now that you know the engineering behind it, let's do a quick fire round and bust some of the myths a car salesman might try to feed you on the showroom floor.
First up, the most common one. They'll point to a seat that looks like Swiss cheese and tell you it's the best one they've got. But here's the reality. Too many holes actually destroys the air pressure, which makes the airflow feel weaker, not stronger. It's like trying to drink out of a straw that has a dozen other holes poked in the side. Where the holes are located, like concentrated right where your back and butt actually are, is so much more important than just the total number.
Next, they'll brag about the powerful fan motor. Oh yeah, this thing really moves some air. But you know better now. A huge fan fighting a blocked-up pathway is just an expensive noisemaker. It's the efficiency of the whole system, from the fan all the way to the surface, that gives you that cooling breeze. It's not about brute force.
And here it is, the sneakiest trick in the book. They'll tell you to just admire how clean and perfect the holes look on the surface, as if that's a sign of quality.
But the real scam is hiding right underneath. The glue that holds the leather to the foam can be slopped on way too thick, and it completely seals off the bottom of the holes. It is the ultimate trick. It's like they put a layer of invisible plastic wrap right under the perforations. The seat looks ventilated, but it can't breathe at all.
So how can you tell the good from the bad? How can you spot a seat that actually works versus one that's just for show? I'm going to give you a dead simple test you can do in 30 seconds right there in the dealership.
First, the hand test. Turn the ventilation on high. Put your hand flat on the center of the seat and the backrest, not the edges. That's where it counts. Second, the squeeze test. Gently squeeze the perforated part. Does it feel soft and pliable, or are there hard, kind of crunchy spots? That could be too much glue blocking everything up. Third, the sound test. Just listen. Does the amount of air you feel match the noise the fan is making, or is it all sound and no fury? And finally, the uniformity test. Move your hand around. Is the airflow consistent, or is it just coming from one little hot spot?
When you boil it all down, what you're really trying to do is avoid paying a premium for a feature that doesn't actually do what it's supposed to. Here's the bottom line. When that whole system, the holes, the layers, the fan, is engineered the right way, it is a true luxury. It's amazing. But when it's done wrong, when it's just a bunch of holes for show, you're paying an extra fee for absolutely nothing. You are paying the idiot tax.
So the next time you test drive a car, just forget all the marketing nonsense, sit down, turn the ventilation on full blast, close your eyes for a second, and ask yourself one simple question. Can this seat actually breathe? Your back, and definitely your wallet, will thank you for it.